If you're constantly fighting weeds in your lawn, you're probably making one of these common mistakes. The truth is, weeds just don't appear randomly. They appear for a very reason, and there's a weakness in your lawn that maybe you're not seeing or you're not taking care of. Therefore, the weeds are just going to keep coming back. Today, I'm actually going to show you how to control those weak areas, make them strong areas so then weeds don't show up, and prevent future outbreaks. And keep your lawn looking healthy. What's up, guys? It's Jordan with Lawn Doctor. Today, we're talking about broadleaf weeds in your lawn and what you can do about them, how you can prevent them. I see so many homeowners getting frustrated because they try to take care of them at one point and they just keep coming back and back and back. No matter how much they spray, how much they do, they just seem to struggle with weeds. Today, we're going to show you what you can do, what you shouldn't do to take care of those weeds, prevent anything from happening in the future, and hopefully have a nice, thick, green, healthy lawn. Let's dive in. The first thing to understand is that broadleaf weeds are opportunists. What that means is they're going to show up in the weakest points of your lawn or where their opportunity is to grow, flower, and reseed themselves for later on. So what they look for is thin turf, dead and bare spots just like this, the dirt, because there is no defense here. So even if we spray these weeds out, they're going to keep coming back and back and back because there's nothing here to stop the weeds. If we had a nice, thick, healthy grass, that's going to stop your broadleaf weeds from constantly growing in. The other things they look for are compacted soils, poor mowing practices, so scalping the lawn, and then stressed out areas of the lawn as well, because that stress turns the lawn very weak and fragile, therefore weeds can take over. So depending on where you live, we're going to be showing the most common weeds in our area, and you could have some of these weeds as well. You might have different weeds, but these are the most common ones we see here in West Michigan. Let's go ID them. So clearly we can see the lawn here full of broadleaf weeds. Let's just zoom in on this first one here. This is known as a black medic. Some people call it a false clover or clover, but it's really not clover, it's black medic. You know it by the little yellow flowers that happen there. Looks kind of like clover, smaller petals, but again, common broadleaf weed. We look over here, we have another broadleaf. This one's going to be broadleaf plantain, and then there's broadleaf buckhorn too, the ones that shoot up the flowers. But the broadleaf plantain usually more spreads itself out. It loves compacted, thin turf. Okay, as we're walking here, these white little flowers we're seeing, this is going to be white clover. As we can see here, the black medic here is mixed in, and then we got the clover here. Again, two different broadleaf weeds, but then again, you want to try to get the clover out before it forms these flowers, because once it forms these flowers, sometimes it actually stops feeding, and so it won't really take anything in, and it can be tougher to kill, and you might have to spray it more times than you would before it flowers. So that's one thing you want to pay attention to when you're spraying weeds. Try to take care of it before they start flowering. As we look down here, these are actually dandelions here. These are just kind of the leaf of the dandelion though. It's not really trying to produce a shoot, so sometimes they can be tough to see without that common yellow or that flower that you're used to. Again, another broadleaf here in this thin area. Here we actually see one that's flowering, so the yellow part's going to be the flower. We can see this one here. This one actually went to seed, and so this is the pre-stage before seed. This is the stage where it's going to be releasing those seeds, and it's going to be spreading throughout that lawn. You want to take care of it before that. Here we're down close to the ground. This is one very common one we're seeing pop up more and more. I don't know if you can get this, but it has very little purple flowers on it. Blue to purplish flowers. That's going to be corn speedwell. It's a very tiny broadleaf. Again, a lot of times it's going to be on your edges. It's very tough to see, especially when you have a lawn that's thick. But again, this one just rises up, very tiny to hit. You got to make sure you're watching for that one. As we're looking here, we have chickweed. All right, so this is another one. You know this is an early spring one, late spring. We still have it in this lawn. It's common with those little white flowers you'll see. This one kind of spreads itself far as well. Another common broadleaf we see. All those weeds we just talked about there, those are going to be broadleaf weeds. Now there's other types of weeds you can have too. There's grassy weeds and there's sedges. The challenge is not one product may work for all those different weeds. So that's why proper identification is very important when you're talking about taking care of weeds. There are two main types of weed treatments. There's pre-emergent, so preventing it before it happens. And then there is post-emergent. That is after the weed is germinated, after it's actively growing, you decide to take care of it. So pre-emergent works before the weeds actually come up and germinate out of the ground. Think of it as preventative protection. They help weeds, especially crabgrass, even coming up or germinating in the first place. Therefore, you don't have to spray it post down the line. You've already taken care of it with a pre-emergent. And again, that application is all about proper timing. Once the weeds have already sprouted out of the ground and you see them, a pre-emergent won't really do anything at that point. Post-emergent is going to take care of weeds that are already actively growing. This is the most common form of weed control you hear when you talk about spraying weeds. It's always you're going to be spraying or applying a post-emergent to those weeds actively growing on your lawn. So the best programs often combine both approaches, a preventative and a post-treatment, to have the best results for you all season long. How to prevent future weed problems? Well, you want to focus on these four things. You want to be mowing properly. You don't want to be scalping the lawn, because when you scalp the lawn, you're creating a thinner, weaker grass area. Therefore, weeds can come in and take over. If you mow it longer, it's going to protect that grass more, protect that soil structure from the weeds coming in. Second step is water. If you don't water the lawn, it's going to become stressed and thin. Therefore, again, creating that weakness for weeds. If you do water, you want to be watering deeply and infrequently. Therefore, the lawn is getting the amount of water it needs. It looks good, it's healthy, and it's going to help prevent weeds. Step 3 is you want to fertilize. You want to keep fertilizing all season long. You're going to be on a good program that's delivering nitrogen, potassium, maybe a couple other small things here and there. But overall, you want a good program all season long, targeted treatments. The last and one of the most important things are thin spots. No matter what you do with those 3 things I previously mentioned, you're going to be having weeds every time if you have thin areas in the lawn. So it's very important to take care of those spots. A lot of times here, we take care of those in the fall time because that is the best time to seed the lawn. If you have a shady area, then we can also do that in the spring. Here are some of the biggest mistakes that we see homeowners make. Number 1 is going to be waiting until the weeds are infested the entire lawn, kind of like we see here. The next step is mowing it too short, scalping the lawn, creating that weak layer. Therefore, there's no protection. So underwatering or overwatering is another common mistake. We want to be doing deep and frequent watering every other day, 20 to 30 minutes a zone. Next is ignoring bare spots. Again, we can do all the work we can with fertilization in spring. If you still have these bare areas in the lawn, you're going to be getting weeds every single time. The last 2 things are going to be using the wrong product or maybe IDing the weed wrong. So you're not using the product for that weed. And then the second thing is going to be timing, applying that pre-emergent or that post-emergent at the wrong time. Therefore, you're wasting money and effectiveness. When to call a professional. Sometimes weed problems get too much for the homeowner to handle, or they have a ton of different weeds that they can't ID and therefore don't know what to apply to take care of those weeds. If you're dealing with persistent weeds, reoccurring weeds, weeds that just won't go away, or weeds that don't respond to treatment, it may be time to call in a professional who is actively dealing with these things and has the products to take care of those things in only a few short treatments. Remember, weeds don't take over healthy lawns overnight. Most problems start, again, in the early spring when the grass is stressed out, it's unhealthy, it's not getting fed, and you have those thin areas. You want to be focusing on your cultural practices. You want to do proper mowing, proper watering. We want to be filling in those thin spots, and overall, you want to be on a very solid fertilization and weed control program. So we want that pre-emergent, that post-emergent to deliver the best successful lawn that you can have this year. If you have any questions about weed control ID, maybe specific products, we'd love to help you out. Leave us a comment, ask a question. Until next time, like, subscribe. Thank you guys so much.